the game the other night that Armando, the dependability is something you've really come to, sort of rely on and appreciate about him. When did you notice him take the next step in terms of that, in terms of him emphasizing that and prioritizing that in his own game?
Well, throughout his entire career, I think he's done that. I think the last time we talked, I referenced a couple points last year and this year. The Virginia game here at home last year, where he was really good, and I just felt like the light bulb came on that he can be one of the best players in the country. He could take it to a different level, and then after he came back after missing a game against Virginia Tech, he's just been lights out. And so the way that he's improved, the way that he works, the way that he leads is something that, as I told you before, is what you want as a coach. You want to be able to come to the gym and know what you're getting, and from Armando, 100%, you know what you're getting. And something else that I hadn't mentioned about Armando, all of our guys have aspirations of playing at the next level. And one of the things that Armando has done is added things to his game, but he's kept the cornerstone and the foundation piece of what he does really, really, really well, and that's rebound the basketball and finish around the basket. And I think that's just a great example of how to continue to grow and improve your game, but also continue to do the things that allow you to be successful on a consistent basis.
You were asked the other night about some of the stats, and you didn't really go too much into the stats, but the reverence that you have for this program's history and all the names when you start looking at the record books, how can you put into perspective the fact that Armando is in that group with some of the best ever, and it's because of his stats, it's because of the overall production over the last few years?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's extremely talented. So when he came here as a freshman, that I knew that by the time that he left here, that he was going to have a successful career because of the gifts that he's been given, and also the work ethic that he puts in every day to put himself in a position to be successful. And so to be mentioned alongside a number of Carolina greats is, I know for him, is humbling, and it puts him in a place of thankfulness and appreciation for being a part of this place, for being a part of this program, and also the commitment for longevity. A player of his ability and the things that he's accomplished, normally in the past, that's somebody that would have already left and gone to the NBA. And because of his love for this team and this program and this university and this community, he's wanted to stay here. And so a lot of these records are because of the talent of the individual, but it's also because of the longevity of the individual. And I think it speaks to both how powerful of a career that Armando has had.
A lot of young guys in his age range might not fully understand where their place is historically and the names that they're lumped with, but he has a real keen understanding of it. He gets the names of the guys that he's around now as far as the record books go. From your vantage point, is that kind of a different layer that makes him the unique player and maybe the unique individual that he is?
Well, I think it's, I can't answer, is it unique? I just, that's what this place is all about. I don't think that there is a connection to the records. I think it's a connection to the people. That's what this place is about. You're running out of that tunnel the same way that other former Carolina players have. You're putting on that uniform just like other former players, UNC players have. You're going through similar practices, the same practices that other former UNC players have gone through. I think that what binds us together is and connects us is the shared experiences that we have here. I don't think it has anything to do about the records. I think it has everything to do about the experiences.
But if I could follow up on that, just his understanding of it. A lot of younger guys in his age range may not fully get it, but he completely understands who those people are and what it means to be among them.
I think it's great that for our guys to know the history of this place. You have to. You have to know who has come before you, and knowing who has come before you, and the sacrifices and the effort and the perseverance and the toughness that they have gone through, that is a real motivation and should be a real motivation for any player that plays here. To be the best that they can be on the court, to be the best that they can be in the classroom, and be the best that they can be in the community. And so from that standpoint, Armando does get it, and I think it's awesome.
Hubert, you all are recognized in the '93 title team.
Yeah.
Played with many of those guys, but how do you, or what do you want to get? You mentioned the connectivity to past players and teams that have come through here. Like, will you have anybody necessarily address the team or anything like that? Like, how do you look to bridge that connection yourself a lot of times?
Well, a number of them are already here, so they'll be coming to practice today, and after the game, more than likely we'll have them in the locker room just to be able to interact with our guys. The 97, 98 team with Antoine Jameson and Vince Carter came during our exhibition game, Johnson C. Smith, and them, that era, them coming in the locker room and just being able to interact with our players was really huge. CLS, this is very important to me. It's important for me that whomever you played for, whether you played for Coach Smith or Coach Guthridge or Coach Doherty or Coach Williams, it's really important for the former players to come back and be able to identify with this place and say, this is the place where I went to school. This is the Carolina that I went to. It's really important, and it's a huge reason why the staff that I work with connects to all of those coaching eras. Is because I wanted to give our guys the full body and the full menu of what this place is about. And so having and honoring teams like the 93 team and earlier this year, the 97, 98 team is very important to be able to connect the dots and to have those shared experiences and for our players to get to understand that. And I think that's a huge determining factor of why Armando gets it in terms of the records, because of his relationships with past players and understanding the history of this place.
Hubert Terquavion scored 34 points in the Smith Center last season.
Yeah.
Easy to forget when y'all beat him by 20, but he was obviously really good.
I haven't forgotten.
Yeah, he was obviously really good last season. But how have you seen him take that next step this season to be even better?
Well, he's a fantastic player. He's a basketball player, and that's the thing that I can compliment him the most. Yes, he has a gift to be able to score. It's just, he can score at all three levels, and he has the ability, whomever is guarding him, to be able to create a shot for himself and for his teammates at any given time, and he's just that good. But he gets after it on the defensive end, and I don't know where he ranks in terms of assists, but it's up there in terms of the ACC, so he's making guys better. And he's a wonderful player. He's fun to watch, and it's going to be exciting to be able to compete against him tomorrow.
Hubert, along those lines, I was thinking about with like someone like Leakey, who's obviously been around for so long and had these challenges, maybe against a Terquavion type of player. When you're going through your scout, do you ever go over to him and say, "Look, I saw this on film"? You give him like little pointers and tidbits, like defensively, or do you just sort of turn him loose on his own?
No, I don't turn them loose. The kids. No, I'm not turning kids loose. No, I talk to them. I talk to all of them, and just give them information and insight on everybody. Like the reason I tell the guys the reason why that is interesting. I told them when I was in school we didn't have scout reports. Only thing Coach Smith used to do is write the names on the board. He put a star next to a guy that can shoot and put 2 stars next to a guy that can really shoot. That's it. And his belief was that if you just do the things that we practiced and practice whatever they did, you'll be more than prepared. So now we have shoot-arounds, now we have scouting reports, we look at film, we give them a scouting report sheet, all that information. The reason why that we give them that is just to give them a little bit of advantage on both ends of the floor to be able to instinctively make plays out there. And so the little, the extra information, the tidbits that we give all of our players on whomever that we're playing, that's what we're doing, is just to try to give them just a little advantage out there to instinctively be the basketball players that they all can be.
Hubert, they've got a lot of help through the transfer portal with Joyner and Burns.
Mm-hmm.
I want to specifically ask you about Burns. These guys got a good touch around the rim, but one thing that strikes me is when you watch him, like in the Miami game, they ran a lot of their offense in the second half.
He's a
three into
gifted
the middle,
passer.
and he moves the ball so effectively. Like, how difficult of a challenge is it defending a team that has a big man that can pass that well?
It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult because, he has a gift at being able to score around the basket. He just can't. He does a really good job of getting the position down low on the block, and his ability to use his size to be able to create space to score consistently down on the block is a huge problem every night he steps on the floor. What makes him even more difficult to defend is, normally you could just say, okay, let's just go double team him. You can't do that. It's because he's such a gifted passer. He's almost like a second point guard out there, and given his ability, his great vision. Not only is he a really good passer, he's also somebody that gets the ball to the right person at the right time where they can actually do something with it. And so he's playing at an extremely high level. He's, as I said before, he's extremely gifted, and it's going to be fun to watch the matchup, between him and our bigs.
Hubert, do you know now, is Jalen gonna be available?
Yeah,
Is
he'll
that
be
still
available. He practiced yesterday, so Jalen will be back. He'll be available.
How did Pete handle the couple days since the game as far as recovering, how he felt after getting 30 minutes?
I thought he felt, he says that he felt great. And, one of the things that he came in office the day after, and, we sat down and talked, and, I asked him specifically, how did you feel? What kind of things you feel like you could do better, and you felt good out there? And so we had a great conversation about the things that I'd like him to do even more out there on the floor. I thought, he got his career high in offensive rebounds, so I would like that. He attacked the offensive glass. But, Pete is, he's such a great person and such a great teammate. Sometimes he's such a great teammate, he wants to fit in. And we had a really great conversation. I told him that the way that he fits in, like, the reason why we wanted him is to be a big time player. You're not stepping on anybody's toes. You're not, we need you to be aggressive out there. And for him, on both ends of the floor. And it's something not only that we want, it's something that we need, and it's something that 100% know that he can do. And so I challenged him to take it up other levels in terms of his aggressiveness on the offensive end. Not just shooting the ball from three, but attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line, running the floor, and then defensively just being a presence because of his length and his athleticism.
Is that rare, Hubert, in the era of the transfer portal, is to get a guy who's going to be a one and done, and he's trying to fit in rather than show out?
I don't know. It's just kind of really, transfer portal kind of just really started. I think maybe a little bit, one of the things that Pete has said is that this team is established, and so he didn't want to ruffle any feathers. And I told him it isn't established. It's only been together with me 1 year, and so for him to be the player that he wants to be, and for him to have the confidence to be able to do it. And it's the number one reason why we wanted him. We wanted Pete to be Pete, and so just encouraging him to do that, and to feel confident to be able to do that.
How do you react? You kind of tell him to be more aggressive.
Oh, it was great. I mean, as I told you before, the guys stop by the office all the time, so I mean, we have real conversations, and so I can be straightforward and direct with them, good or bad, and they can be straightforward and direct with me. Best way to communicate is face to face. I love communicating, and I love talking, and conversation.
I know this is the next game, but do the players get a sense from you that there's a little bit maybe more to this game because you played in this rivalry so often?
No, I don't talk to them about that. As I said before, one of the things that I do talk to the team is focus on what is real. And what is real is our play and our preparation and our practice and the manner in which we play. That doesn't change on any opponent, whether we're playing NC State or College of Charleston or Duke or Virginia. Our focus is on being the best team that we can possibly be. I've never, as a player, I've never, as a coach, have seen focusing more on this team, or stepping it up on this team, or changing things up because of this team ever adding any value to us, scoring more points, stopping defensively their points, and us playing better. It's a great opportunity to play against a really good basketball team, and we're just excited that we get an opportunity to play tomorrow and play against North Carolina State.
Hubert, you've competed against Kevin's teams for a few years now, both as an assistant and a head coach. What is there like a trademark that his teams always do well that you can pinpoint?
Well, I mean, they're extremely well coached, and one of the things or a number of things stick out to me. And first off, from a defensive standpoint, they put so much pressure on you defensively. They're always right there up in you, and really they do a great job of pressure defenses, whether it's just man-to-man or trapping. They do a great job of creating turnovers, so that's going to be huge for us from an offensive standpoint, is to limit turnovers and make the easy play. Offensively, they always have extremely gifted players that have the ability to be able to score and be able to create one-on-one, and so every year that's NC State. I think an added layer to them this year is DJ Burns, his ability to consistently score down low on the paint. So now they have a consistent inside-outside punch from an offensive standpoint that is consistent, and it makes them even better. And so, but they're extremely well coached, and every time that we play them, whether it's here or over in Raleigh, it's always highly competitive and exciting to be a part of.
You guys in NC State both lead the league in scoring. I think it's the same exact number, 79.5. When we would talk to Roy back in the day, he'd always say, well, I want more. I want it to be faster. I want it, you give him a number, he wanted it higher. Like, do you have a number you would like your team scoring at? I know more than the other opponent, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
He took away your out.
You know what I was about to say. We've been together too long.
This is when I would suggest ask and answer.
But I'm saying, is there, do you, you're at 80 points basically. What number would you like them hitting?
I can't remember, Kirsch, you're gonna have to help me, but my number or goal, I think the highest point per game average by a Carolina team was the 86, 87 team.
In that year.
And I can't remember, Kirsch, I'm putting you on the spot. I've actually talked to the team last year, and Coach Lebo was on that team. And I've told Coach Lebo, we're gonna beat your team. We're gonna beat you guys. And so it's higher than 80. I know it is.
It's gotta be.
It's higher than 80, and that's where I wanna be. Honestly, where my focus is right now has nothing to do about offense. I think we can score. It's all about defense, and when we get after it defensively, we're really, really good. And when we are not good defensively, we're not the team that we can become. And our success, whether it's against NC State or anybody else, it is tied to defending, it is tied to rebounding, and it is tied to taking care of basketball. But
His sophomore year,
what was it?
86, 87. It's like 91.3.
Okay,
Oh,
that's what I want. Okay. You asked.
All right, we'll hold you to that.
I like that.
Kenny Smith and J.O. Reed will help do that.
Yeah, that's That's it.
I'm sorry, you mentioned the importance
Last
of
one.
defense, that you're comfortable with the scoring and whatnot. With some of the incontinuity you've had with Pete missing games and Jalen missing a game,
Yeah.
how much are you still sort of tweaking what you want to do in like ball screen coverages with your bigs? Or how comfortable are you with
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with ball screen defense, you know, and we can play it a number of different ways. We practice a number of different ways depending on the opponent. And so having guys in the lineup, out of the lineup, doesn't present a challenge in terms of how we're guarding ball screen defense, but it does present a challenge in terms of the rotation. And this season, I don't know how many times we've had a full 18. It's been two games? Okay, and so that's where the tweaks, the pivots, the alters come in, but in terms of ball screen defense, it's a non-factor, but in terms of the rotation, it's something that you have to think about every time, unfortunately, somebody gets injured.
Thanks, everybody. We'll get Armando in here.